And then I use this word, coming home to ourselves. Because, you know, it is home. And we are the only people to come home to. And by that I mean, if we look to another person or another situation to try to get our comfort and our place of home, there's a very bad dependency is being developed there. Whereas when we can come home to within our own depths, and I believe that one of the ways, I think people who can get huge comfort from prayer, heartfelt, sincere prayer, I believe that that is a way also of coming home to oneself. Because that place that they're actually praying to is within their own depths, their own sacred inner space. And coming home to ourselves also means that if I am at peace and comfortable in my own skin, hey, I can relate to everybody. Nobody, I don't need to impress anybody, I don't need to be threatened by anybody, I don't need to be intimidated by anybody. And they are perfectly allowed to be perfect and beautiful or a failure. They are, I'm giving them space to be as well. So in giving myself space, in coming home to myself, I'm kind of opening that door for the people in my life as well. And all the energy that is set free is enormous. And there's physical energy that's set free, but there's also emotional energy. And when we set free emotional energy, our heart opens. And our capacity to love, to feel compassion. You know, if I can be compassionate towards myself, and I finally learned that myself with all those sleepless nights, finally learned to hold myself in that place of compassion, then I'm coming from a full cup rather than an empty cup, and I can extend that compassion to another person just as a natural, as the act of breathing itself. So our whole energy field opens out to embrace other people. And just to say a little bit about the Russian doll, I use this analogy a lot in my sessions. You can imagine the adult is the outermost, the big doll, and then you take off the lid and there's a smaller doll inside, and it goes all the way down to a tiny little doll. Well, in a funny kind of way, that analogy could be used with us, that we could be reacting in a really tantrumy, childish, crazy way as an adult, and we are driven by, hey, there's a little 4-year-old doll in the inside there. She's running the show. She's having the temper tantrum. Not me, the adult. So the Russian doll is where we take all these we go cellular memory. We connect back in cellular memory the sensations in the body that are always very familiar. For me, the sensations of fear, the sensations of anger, very familiar stuff. And they lead you vertically right down to that little 5-year-old doll in there that was scared, that was angry, that was in despair. And sorting her out, or him out, and bringing him home transforms ourselves and our relationships with others. And transforms I said at the beginning of the talk about the shop front and this state of loneliness and isolation that we could be stuck in. Well, the exact opposite to that is where we can move in and out of relationships and have as much intimacy and closeness with people as they allow, and that's okay if they don't want that. automatically develop a sense of respect for people's boundaries, and it's very rewarding and joyful to be able to open your heart up to people and to really express what you feel. And I've noticed that I'm able to say more now what I feel in my heart without the feeling of, oh, I shouldn't really say that. And if the other person can't respond, it doesn't matter. They're taking it in nonetheless on some level. It's very joyful. And conversely, of course, if somebody offends us or insults us or hurts us, we then can speak our truth and be clear about the boundary issues or the responsibility issues in a way that we honour ourselves. Someone once asked a very interesting question in one of the talks. They said, but surely are you talking then about, if you're accepting everything and everybody, surely are you doing a sort of turn the other cheek? And I gave the example of, actually no, you're in a much more powerful position to assert yourself, but in a peaceful way. If you're full of tension and anger and confusion and complexes, and someone insults you or puts you down, sometimes people, I don't even know, do I have the right to respond? I'm afraid to respond in case I lose the plot and get completely angry out of proportion to the event. And this has a sort of a strangling, choking effect on us. We can't speak our truth. Whereas when we take back all those little dolls and nurture them back to health, another aspect of the transformed relationships is we can speak our truth and be very clear about how we feel. I used to be terrified of confrontations because this anger in me was like a wild beast, and I was terrified that, I daren't let this out of the cage. Scared what damage it could do. And as I healed that and took that back in and resolved it, then it became much easier just to be very simple and clear about how one feels. And finding the gift within the wound, I've kind of touched on this already, in direct proportion to what it is that we are trying to gain mastery over. If we just keep on down through that tunnel, just keep on coming back to that pillar of intention, keep on working on that issue, we come out the other side. And that is a journey, a piece of work that's done. It's resolved. It need never ever come back again. And if it does come back again, we're conscious of it. We can observe it. So the gift within the wound is the very thing that caused me the greatest pain. Let's say for somebody it's jealousy in relationships. That becomes their strength. It could be for somebody else, they could be very angry and vindictive and hating towards other people. The gift within their wound might be in working through all their own issues, their own pain. They may arrive at a place of compassion and acceptance and deep, deep understanding of others that they would never have had otherwise. There's a saying that you can ask a child, what would you like? Would you like a piece of cake or a piece of mind? And the child will say, I'll have a piece of cake. Because they don't have the experience of what is the absence of peace of mind. But you say that to an adult, peace of mind is a huge, priceless gift. That if you've lost it and you regain it again, it's even more priceless. So that's what I mean by the gift within the wound. And then, again, I've touched on this, becoming loving parents to ourselves. So that little orphan me that I kind of cast out in condemnation and blame, that you shouldn't be that way and you're just hopeless and you just keep failing all the time and you can't get it right, I show real mercy to that little younger self. And sometimes when I'm working with clients and I get them to imagine going back and meeting that little child that was them, the 8-year-old or the 15-year-old or even the 21-year-old, and being with that younger self in a very loving way. And very often the child comes and sits in their lap and holds onto them and is crying, and they're allowing the child to cry and get angry and let it out the system. Sometimes what happens is the child then kind of disappears. It melts back into them. And I always say that's a really good sign. That means that little hurting 4-year-old has reintegrated back inside you. And that means, as adults, we then have access to all spectrums. We can be the mature adult, we can be the responsible and loving parent. We also regain a priceless connection with the inner child, our ability to create, to have fun, to be spontaneous. All of these are very childlike qualities. And if we lose this, sometimes we lose the ability to relate to kids, and especially just to have fun in our lives. So becoming responsible parents to ourselves, becoming loving parents to ourselves, until there are no orphans left, until there are no children left, and we have arrived. In a way, life is a vast journey, we never arrive. We get to a place where we can go forward in our lives and have a lot more joy and intimacy and pleasure and fun.